In 1974, the Japanese toy maker Takara introduced a new line of toys called Microman. Microman were a series of 3 3/4 inch figures with interchangeable parts and a number of vehicles. Microman was created as a more cost-effective alternative to Takara's Henshin Cyborg line, as the 8-inch and 12-inch figures in the Henshin Cyborg line were becoming too expensive to produce at the time. In 1975, Takara introduced Robot Man into the Microman line. Robot Man was a large-scale transforming figure that could house the 3 3/4 inch figures inside a cockpit in its chest. In 1976, the American toy manufacturer Mego licensed the Microman designs and created a line of toys called Micronauts. As part of that first series, Robot Man became Biotron in the Micronauts line. When Marvel Comics launched their adaptation of Micronauts, Biotron became one of the main cast members, and he remained so throughout much of the original Marvel series and into subsequent comic series from publishers Image, Devil's Due, and IDW. In 2001, the Robot Man toy was reissued by Takara in Japan. The toy company Palisades, who had begun reissuing Micronauts in the early 2000s in the US, planned on releasing a new version of Biotron. Unfortunately, there were some serious quality issues with the earliest Micronauts releases from Palisades. The company attempted to course correct and fix the issues with subsequent releases, but the damage was done, and the issues they faced with the Micronauts were one of the main reasons that Palisades had to close its doors in 2005. In 2016, Hasbro, the current IP owner of the Micronauts, released a few figures in a box set for San Diego Comic-Con. And the following year, they released a few very small, unarticulated Micronauts figures in new designs as part of the Revolutions box set. But since then, no new Micronauts toys have emerged from Hasbro. In 2019, Hasbro announced that they were working on a new Micronauts animated series, but production artwork that has been released since then shows that this will not be a series based on the classic Micronauts property and will be yet another reimagining of a classic property for a modern audience that probably doesn't want it. Anyway, that brings us to the toy we're going to look at today, from a third-party company called Perfect Effect. So if you're not familiar with third-party companies, that's usually the term given to independent toy makers outside of Hasbro, Mattel, etc., that are creating toys for properties they don't necessarily have the licenses to. They don't have the licenses to them. Usually they'll make toys in old styles that the big toy companies don't do anymore, or they'll pick up on old IPs that the other toy companies aren't doing anything with. And that's the case with this figure called PD-01 Robot V2 and Star Pilot. This is a modern reimagining of the Biotron character. I usually don't go in on third-party toys, mainly because of the cost. Because they are manufactured in smaller quantities by smaller companies, they are more expensive than you'd pay for a mass-market toy. But in this case, I made an exception due to the complete lack of new Micronauts toys coming from Hasbro or any other manufacturer at this point. Looking at the box, we have a nice photo of the toy inside. He also comes with a smaller pilot figure, that's the Star Pilot. Perfect Effect is the company. Another photograph on that side. Same on the other side. Some information on the bottom. Not sure if these are made in China or Hong Kong. Now on the back you get a look at his posability as well as his features. There's the opening cockpit for the small figure. He comes with a weapon and a backpack that does transform into a tank. So let us get this guy out of the box. Inside the box we get a blister pack with the robot and his accessories. There are no instructions or anything with this guy, but they're not needed. It's pretty straightforward. Taking a look at his posability. Head turns 360. Arms rotate 360 on ball joints. Does have a double jointed elbow, double jointed knees. He's got a little bit of ankle on ball joints. Hips are on ball joints. And he also has 360 articulation in the waist. He is colored pretty much like the original Biotron, with that silver head, the orange translucent chest, cockpit, and red, white, and blue throughout the rest of the figure. He's got very minimal paint applications, really just a little bit of red on his knees and on his feet, and some orange on the back of his legs. Other than that, he's molded in all the colors that you see him in. Cockpit opens up, and the star pilot can sit right inside. It is unusual to note that this star pilot figure is actually based on a transformer called Star Saber. I'm not sure what connection Star Saber would have with Biotron or the original Robot Man, other than they were both made by Takara. Maybe the people designing this toy just liked Star Saber and decided to make the pilot in his image. The Star Pilot does have some nice little bits of paint detail on him. Red and yellow. And he is somewhat articulated. You do get 360 arm movement, and legs can go fully back and forth. Two accessories are the backpack slash treads that will create the tank, and the gun slash tank turret, both molded in a dark gray. The gun fits in his hand quite well. It's a nice tight fit, but not too tight that you think you're going to stress the plastic. It's snug enough to hold. The backpack just clips on a little post and hole right on the back, and that stays pretty securely. The original Biotron had the ability to transform into a tank by reconfiguring his parts. This small one does not have the ability, but his accessories do. So the backpack treads open up like so. The Star Pilot can sit between the treads like that, and then the gun clips onto the treads to become a tank turret. And there you have it. Here's how the Perfect Effect PD-01 measures up against some actual Micronauts toys. Now, these are not original Mego figures. These are some of the reissues that I had mentioned earlier. So Repto, Time Traveler, and Baron Karza are from Palisades in the early 2000s. And this Pharoid is from the San Diego Comic-Con Hasbro box set from 2016. He is a little taller than the 3 3/4 inch figures, which is good. In the original Marvel comic, the one I read when I was a kid, Biotron was a bit larger than the other humanoid type characters. So that fits right in. This Perfect Effect figure is not a new release. He's several years old right now. But looking around on eBay at the time of this recording, he's still fairly easy to get if you're willing to pay. He goes for around $40 right now. That's a lot for a figure of this scale. But if you're a big fan of the Micronauts, as I am, I think he's a nice piece to have in a collection. I certainly enjoy having him on the Micronauts shelf to supplement these other releases that I've acquired. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.